Welcome to another edition of the Real Impact Daily Inspiration Series here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan with author Dennis Henson, and he is rather prolific in that he has a number of books that are available. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but the main one is, of course, Real Impact Daily Inspiration that you can get a copy of by going to realimpactbook.com, and we'll also talk more about that as we continue. Dennis, welcome to this one, and this one is, I actually did stay at one of these hotels in Phoenix, and they're nice. They are very nice, and it's nice to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Richard. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, folks, this one, actually, the title of this story comes, I don't know, maybe the title of the song. Nonetheless, this story is entitled Puttin' on the Ritz.
Putting on the Ritz. Fred Astaire is considered the greatest male dancer of the 20th century. Appearing in 43 movies, he earned the industry's respect by taking home Emmys, Grammys, and Oscars. Yet his start in show business was less than spectacular. The first 20 years he spent in vaudeville and Broadway musicals. Yet Fred's dream was to be recognized as a famous movie star and dancer. At the age of 30, he attended his first movie audition, but the director was not impressed and noted on his scorecard, "Can't act, can't sing, is balding, can dance a little." However, Fred's desire was strong enough that he wasn't deterred by a failed audition. He persevered, and his reputation grew. Then he was dealt a severe blow when his sister and dance partner married and moved to England. Though things seemed grim, he focused on his dream and pressed on, eventually landing a small role in Dancing Lady with Joan Crawford. That led to better parts, and his big break came when he was cast for the starring role in Flying Down to Rio with Ginger Rogers. Astaire did not want to be paired with Rogers or anyone, but it was already too late. The public demand for the two was so great that the studio offered Fred 10% of the profits from any picture where they appeared together. From that point, he had no problem being paired with Rogers. Fred and Ginger almost single-handedly saved RKO Studios from bankruptcy. In the early 1930s, as they danced their way into Hollywood history, Fred's tenacity and focus on his dream paid off. Today, his name is synonymous with the ultimate dancer. If it doesn't look easy, it's that we have not tried hard enough yet. Fred Astaire.
Well, of course, I also remember the man from, of course, that classic film, Singin' in the Rain. But I also believe he was one of the cast members in one of the disaster movies of the 70s, Poseidon Adventure, where he didn't do any dancing, but he did do some fancy footwork just to try to work his way through that capsized ship. Fascinating to watch him in the movies. And it's also, again, that tenacity that we've been talking about regularly on this program, that he made it through. And then there's the other aspect of this too, Dennis, the names that most of our young people probably don't know. Even Fred Astaire, let alone Ginger Rogers and many others. They can teach us an awful lot, right?
That's right. There's still Fred Astaire dance studios. You can still go take dancing lessons, and the name Fred Astaire is on the dance studio. But he was, like you said, in quite a few movies, and he single-handedly saved RKO, which in turn, RKO saved Disney. So maybe Fred saved them both. Just funny how things like that work out.
Well, and of course, we learned that whole process, especially going through the story with Abraham Lincoln. If certain things had not happened,
Right.
in just the right way, we wouldn't know who Abraham Lincoln was. We wouldn't know who Fred Astaire was, or Disney, and so I think one of the most beautiful things about all of these stories is somehow, somewhere along the way, without these individuals, these 33 or so individuals, certain other parts of our lives wouldn't even exist. And to me, that's saying so much about how important each one of us is to the
Right.
fabric of life.
That's true. That's true. Some of the people in the books changed the world. I mean, they literally uh, just imagine if any of those things had not happened and Lincoln had not been the president of the United States, there's a good chance that the South would have won the Civil War had Lincoln not been the president, because he was such a hands-on president during the war,
Mm.
and um, he wanted to help slavery, but he didn't want to do it instantly. So that alienated him from some of the people. Some of the people thought slavery should end right now, and some of the people thought it should be over time. Well, Lincoln was one of those overtime people, but he was against slavery. He thought it should be abolished,
Mm-hmm.
but he also realized that a lot of people had a lot of their lives entangled with that. So it's interesting to think about how things would be different if some of these people had not come along. And their stories are so interesting, and they're people that you know their names. So it's a fun book to read. Fun to get
Absolutely.
to know them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you have included, I mean, you talk about this being a fun book to read. You have two book lists that you put together. One, of course, is the bibliography, the books that you researched to help you to write the stories. Then you have another book list of books that have been inspirational to you. And there's a third book list, and it's not nearly as long as the first two. And it's the books that Abraham Lincoln read, since we were just talking about Abraham Lincoln. And what was one of the quotes he said about books and, giving a book as a gift, or a real friend would give a book rather
That's
than
right.
something else. Yeah.
Now that was the point of the quote. If you give me a book, you're my best friend.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, and there was a period in my life where I loved reading, but I did not like reading out loud in front of the class, but I did enjoy reading. My favorite genre as I was growing up was science fiction, and of course I got the bug from, of course, Star Trek, and of course the Apollo program with the moon landing and so on and so forth. And I read some really cool books as a kid, paperbacks that I had, and I still have a hardcover that's in need of repair, I think. It's a book that I was given by my mother, and I think it goes back to the 30s. And it's just a story. That's all it is. It's just a fictional story, not necessarily science fiction, just fiction. Uh, but I've always had a respect for the book. I don't want to tear it up or just throw it around, toss it on the ground, and that kind of thing. And I'll tell you, if you were to get a copy of Dennis's book, Real Impact, in hardcover, the deluxe edition, which is available, which is really cool, we encourage you to do that. That's a book you want to take care of. That's a book that you'd be able to hand down to the next generation and so forth. And it's not an expensive book either. That's one of the most, from my perspective, Dennis, it's rather miraculous that you are able to offer that at such an inexpensive price for people.
I intended to charge a lot more. I intended to charge $50.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that was helping me put it together and publish it said, if you want to get it out in front of a lot of people, you're going to have to get your price down. So it's, about the same as other books that are that size.
Yeah.
So we lowered the price to $34.95, but I believe it would have sold well at 50. And the next time I have it printed, there's a good chance it will be $50 because it's printed uh, in another country and there's going to be tariffs.
Yeah. And we won't go down that particular road, but the way I look at it, if it's something that you want, whether it's putting gas in your tank, food on your table, a particular meal, your corn or chicken or beef or whatever it is, and so on and so forth. If that's what you really want, then just pay it. Don't worry about it. Just go
Right.
ahead. Because now, and be grateful. Oh, I'm so glad I had the resources to be able to get this or that or the other thing. I used to complain at the gas pump. Oh, I wish it would go down to back under $3 a gallon. When I first started driving, I kid you not, in 1998, gas was 89 cents a gallon. Now, it's not quite the nickel that a lot of older folks could say gas was, but it was nice. And then I got this little compact car called the Chevy Metro, 10-gallon tank, and then the price started going up. And I'm thinking, did they find out I got an economy car and they're trying to get more money out of me? And then when it started going up and up, I used to complain. And then I finally got to the point where I said, do you notice that your complaining is not changing the price? So, either put the gas in and be grateful, or don't put the gas in and, just leave it alone.
Well, at least you could get some. I remember gas lines where you didn't even go get in the line because it was going to take you 2 or 3 hours, and the station could run out of gas while you were in the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, be grateful that there's gas.
Be grateful that there's gas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're grateful that you are a part of what we're doing here on Tell Me Your Story, trying to get the word out, trying to, in a manner of speaking, I mean, this is kind of the way that I put it, change the world. We're trying to change the world for the better for everyone. Always saying that it's not that the world is that bad. I mean, it's still paradise. It's still a beautiful place, but we need to take care of it. We really do. And there are ways that we can do that by taking care of ourselves, taking care of our insides, not just the physical, but the mental and emotional as well. And I think that the Real Impact can help people to do just that. One of the techniques I'd love for you to talk about is this aspect of reading something inspirational every day.
Well, that's the secret. You know, one of the things that's kind of magical about the book is it's to help you form the habit of reading something positive every day to move you toward your goal. Well, the first thing you have to do is have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use the book unless you have the goal, and that's what the magic is. So if you can focus on one particular thing and read something positive every day that moves you toward it, you have to think about that goal every day so it keeps you headed in the right direction. It's like putting a rudder on a boat. If a boat, you can have you can have a yacht with all kinds of amenities, and it can have a lot of horsepower. It could be the most wonderful yacht, but if it doesn't have a rudder, it's not going to take you where you want to go.
Mm-mm.
It's just you'll just there's no telling where you'll go. Run around in circles out to sea. You're never going to get back to port. You're going to be well. That's people walk around like that with their life like that, where if they know what they want and they're willing to do whatever it takes to move in that direction, it's amazing what they can accomplish. It's like the recording you played. It's how the atomic bomb was created, how airline flight was created. Every major thing that was ever created, somebody focused on it. Somebody thought, this is what I want. They got up every single day and they got other people thinking about it, and they created so much focus that eventually it became reality.
Mm.
And that's kind of what this book is about. It's about finding what you want and making it your reality.
Yeah, yeah. I also like using the analogy of the map as you talked about in your real estate classes, tossing down a map on the table spread out and everything, and just saying, "Hey, where do you want to go?" What do you mean? Where do you want to go? Well, here's the map. Where do you want to go? And that's the analogy that you've used on occasion as well. Is if you don't know where you want to go, the map doesn't do you any good. It has no value.
That's
You know,
right.
it's only when you decide where you want to go that the map has any value whatsoever. And you can have a lot of fun. I mean, there are people that I have known who have decided that, hey, we're going to take some time off. We're going to travel. It's like the friend who has the RV, and is moving around the country. maybe moving around to other countries. I mean, you can here, at least on the American continent, you can go from Alaska all the way down to the tip of South America. You know, I'm sure there's ways across the Panama Canal and a couple of other places that are a little tricky, but it's not impossible. And you meet neat people. You're going to see incredible things if that's what you want to do. Or maybe you want to go to a university and get a degree, or you maybe get your PhD and those kinds of things. Um, then you got an incredible roadmap there, and of course, a lot of people who have done it who can help you to get to your goal. Let's talk a little bit about that, but let's take a quick break and we'll talk more about the work that Dennis has done in the regards to real impact daily inspiration here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan with Dennis Henson. And Dennis, let's talk a little bit about this aspect of not only the goal, where you want to go, as we've just talked about, but also the community that we, well, actually, I'm going to put it this way, that we need. We need to fulfill our goals. We don't really do this all by ourselves, do we?
That's true. One of the seven secrets is to form great alliances. That, and two people are better than one. Mm-hmm. Two heads are better than one. And that's true. And there's always someone that knows more than you do. And one of the quotes in the book says, if you're not making what you want to make, there's something that you don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, the answer to that is there's someone out there that does know. And Walt Disney often said, there's always people willing to tell you, to help you solve your problem. And one of the things I taught my students was this: when you have a problem, your first thing you should think is, who can do this? Who knows someone who can do this? You start thinking about who I really need to get this done. Where do I go in order to find someone? I have lots of virtual assistants. I have one virtual assistant that hires other virtual assistants. And so her name's Mimi, and I'll call her and I'll say, I need a virtual assistant to do this or do this. And I don't have to worry about it. Once I give it to Mimi, she's going to go find them, and she's going to get them for a reasonable price, and she's going to manage them to make sure that they get whatever needs to be done, and get it back to me. I was writing a chapter for someone's book. They contacted me and said, we want you to write a chapter for a book, and you can put a QR code. So I was writing the chapter, and I just sent Mimi an email, said I need a QR code for Real Impact Daily Inspiration, and I need it tomorrow. That was yesterday. And so I finished the chapter this morning, or this afternoon, right before we started, and looked in my email, and I just copied the QR code, popped it on there. It took me that long. I told her, she had it done. I copied it and put it on. That's how fast you can do it if you're good at delegating, and that's what you're talking about. But it's not always delegating. Sometimes it's a partnership. You have like Disney's brother, Walt Disney's brother, Roy, was good at raising money. Well, we wouldn't know the name Disney if Roy hadn't been there to help him out of a lot of tight places. He was able to go out and raise money for whatever Disney could think about. And Disney could think about a lot of things. So maybe you need someone, maybe someone's listening in right now, and you're having a real difficult time, where all you really need to do is look around and find someone else that's an expert in whatever it is you're trying to do. And many times you just ask them and they'll tell you the answer. That's what Walt Disney did.
Yeah. And I know too that, there's one group of people that, if you ask them a question, the lawyer, they're going to charge you because they do billable hours, but we don't play by those kind of rules. We're trying to help people out here, and you have a question, Dennis will answer the question. Matter of fact, the amazing thing, Dennis? People can go to your website, which is realimpactbook.com, and they can contact you, not just by email, not just by leaving a message on the website. You put your phone number there.
That's
Now,
right.
that's unheard of in this day and age.
That's right. But people don't call. I used to have a consulting. I used to consult, and
Mhm.
people would pay me a lot of money. And I'd say, okay, well, you can call me, you can come to my office, you can email me, you can text me, whatever. I'll help you any way you want. And, you're paying that, which the truth was I would have anyway, but they pay me a lot of money. And I started partnering with a friend, Roger Pascal, on a real estate venture. And he was thinking about doing that. And he was worried about the time involved. And I said, no, you don't worry. There's no time involved. He said, yeah, yeah. If you give these people your phone number and they pay you money, they'll call you all the time. And I said, no, they won't. They may call you twice. I mean, if you got a 3-month contract, you may get 2 calls, probably one. And he,
Mm.
oh, no, 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 that's not right. Then he started his consulting business, and we went to a meeting, and he started telling people the very words I just told you. He started saying, oh, these people, they're not going to call you, don't worry. And I looked at him and he said, yeah, well, you're right. So that's why I can put my number out there, because nobody's going to call me. I mean, I know they're not.
Yeah.
I've been through it, but if they do, I'm happy to hear from them, and I'll be glad to help them.
Absolutely, because it says two things. Number one, that they have something they need an answer to. They have a situation that they're in, and hey, Dennis, how can I need your help on this particular thing here, and so on and so forth. The
Right.
second thing that it says is they've been to your website. They've seen realimpactbook.com.
That's
Okay.
right.
And hopefully they've gotten their free copy or they've ordered their hardcover or paperback copy. Maybe they've looked around for that lamp and maybe they're going to get an Audible copy. Whatever the case may be, that's a plus too. So, never discount, ladies and gentlemen, the power of putting it out there because, yeah, if you do put your phone number out there, and I know that my phone number is in my emails, it's not necessarily up on my website, but there's
That's right.
contact information there, and that's a
And
good thing.
I used it today.
That's right. You did, didn't you?
I
Very
did.
good. Very good. Yeah, we have our schedules and the whole electronic age these days, and going, oh yeah, well we're taking a break this particular week. No, no, that's not this week. That's on another day. And I'm glad that you did make that call and that we did get together to start talking more about the work that you have put together in the Real Impact Daily Inspiration as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan here with Dennis Henson, and the aspect of stories that you have incorporated into this particular volume, but you've got so many more stories that just this thing would have been a huge tome, would have rivaled War and Peace, basically.
That's right.
So you've got so many stories that you actually have volumes 2 and 3 that are going to be coming out in due time, and we'll be letting everybody know through this venue as well. But if you go to realimpactbook.com, there's a link there where you can be put on a mailing list to be notified, only notified when another book has been released. And that's kind of cool too. Because I actually ordered the Audible of a book that I have a guest that'll be coming on, and I thought, that'd be kind of cool, just listening to the book. And it's like, oh, it's pre-order. Oh, all right. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll do it. I mean, I was ready to get it and start listening to it now, but it isn't available yet, and it was only going to be at 10 days down the road, so it wasn't going to be a long time. And I got it. I got a notification just the other day. Hey, your audio book is ready to listen to. And I thought that's pretty cool. So the same thing here. When version of volume 2 of Real Impact comes out, you're going to be notified. And when volume 3, and I'm guessing that when these 2 volumes do come out, all of the same parameters are going to exist: hard copy, paperback, Kindle, and Audible. And that's going to be exciting because I'm looking forward to some of those new stories. Not that I'm necessarily bored with the ones in Real Impact Volume 1, but I'm ready for more, Dennis.
Well, they're pretty exciting. I got I got better at writing, and better at finding them.
Hmm.
And I think Real Impact 2 is going to rival Real Impact 1 for interesting stories. And the poems and quotes are good too, but
Hmm.
it's going to have some really, really powerful stories in it. So I'm having a good time putting it together.
So this is, volumes 2 and 3 will be set up pretty much the same way with stories, poems,
Yes,
quotes, and so forth.
yes. The only difference is volume 3 is more spiritual than the first two.
Hmm.
The first two were set up kind of not to. I don't want to scare anyone away
Hmm.
by making them feel like, hey, this is a religious book. Uh, so, they can know that Real Impact 3 is going to be religious. So if they don't want to purchase it, don't want to read it, then that's fine. But I think they'll really be missing out because some
Yeah.
of those stories are more powerful than the ones in the first two. They're amazing. They're real miracles.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, a television program. I had the privilege of interviewing two cast members of a program that was on in the 70s called Little House on the Prairie. And it had what some might consider to be a religious undercurrent, but it wasn't preachy. It wasn't preachy. And it had wonderful messages within. A matter of fact, I just happened to come across a short little video where the teacher in the classroom was disciplining one of the Ingalls children. He's saying, "Put your hands out there," because he was going to hit the kid on the knuckles with this ruler or with this stick. Guess who comes through the door? Paul, Michael Landon. And he basically tells his kids, you go home. And of course, the teacher says, "Well, you've caught me at a rather difficult situation." And his basically response was, "Yes, I have." But it's like, but I've always loved that show. And of course, just like with the stories in your book, Real Impact, I would watch those programs each week. And there were some programs where I would tear up. I mean, it was so touching. Some of the messages, some of the stories, and so forth. And the people that I interviewed, the gal who played Nellie, Nasty Nellie, you might say. And then, of
Right.
course, the young man who played Alfonso, who was Laura Ingalls' love interest in the books as well. Um, I got to talk with them, and even when we talked a little bit about that. And quite honestly, when it doesn't come across preachy, which I know Volume 3 will not, it really touches people's hearts. It really makes an impact, which of course is great for the title, Real Impact, and inspires people to want to consider maybe making some changes in their own lives, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. That's why it was written with those kind of hopes in mind to
Yeah.
change people's lives.
Real Impact, Daily Inspiration is the title of the current volume, and we certainly hope you'll get a copy by going to realimpactbook.com as we continue. Here on Tell Me Your Story, Real Impact and realimpactbook.com is the website where you can get your free ebook. If you have unlimited Kindle, you've got access to the free ebook. If you'd like to get your own personal copy, you can order the hardcover or the paperback, and as well as some of the other books. And the thing I do like, Dennis, about realimpactbook.com, and of course going to the page where you can place an order, is that you've created bundles. It's not just the deluxe. And let's say you want to buy which I did. I bought the hardcover deluxe edition, and it was bundled with one of your other with one of your other books. And I think that's really kind of cool because it gives people an insight into who you are as well.
Right. Once I have finished writing the real estate series. There's 5 books in the real estate series, and I've got 2 of them published: The Royal Flush and How to Get Started. And there's 3 more after that. They're all done, but they're just coming out each month. And once I have all 5 of those, I'll sell those in the bundle. and probably offer the Real Impact book as a bonus if they purchase all the books. So we'll be doing that. If you check the website every month, we have monthly specials,
Yeah.
and it's always something. I mean, saves you a lot of money if you check the monthly special. You're going to get a good deal, and so especially months where there's months where you have graduations, there's months where most weddings happen, there's months where it's a holiday season, so they're always geared toward those. So whatever's coming up, you go check the website, you'll be able to match what's happening with what you're purchasing.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you can read, of course, the stories as we have talked today about the one story that we focused on, putting on the Ritz about Fred Astaire.
Right.
And even as a young kid, I actually enjoyed watching him, whether it was his dancing or his acting. Just there was just something about the man that impressed me in that regard. And of course, then I've seen him on several other programs. You know what? I just realized I don't think it was the Poseidon Adventure. It was another disaster movie that he was in called The Towering Inferno. I'm trying to remember who the producer was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But nonetheless, for some reason, that movie was a really, really interesting. And I saw it several times in the theater. And watching that movie with Fred Astaire and a bunch of other people trying to get out of that building. Wow, just incredible. Again, there are certain actors that I just really enjoy watching on the little or big screen for that matter. And,
So Fred Astaire was a wonderful choreographer. He could write dances that were just amazing. And he was a really, really good dancer, but there was a better dancer. It was Ginger Rogers. She did everything he did backwards.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
She everything he did, she was matching it, but she was going backward while he was going forward. I mean, she was an amazing dancer and a very beautiful person, very, very attractive woman.
Yeah.
But she was, well, after a while, he didn't want to get paired with her. But once they gave him a bonus for every movie that he was paired, he worked with her, and he was a tyrant. He worked her to death, but he could never find another dancer that could compare.
Yeah.
With how well she was able to do, and he would practice and practice till her feet were literally bleeding, and she'd still go.
Wow.
She's an amazing person. If you read about her, she's almost as interesting as him.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too, you mentioned this earlier, especially in regards to getting better, that you are a better writer today than you were, let's just say, yesterday. And actually, that's a good thing. And of course, we would never, ever discount the first thing you ever wrote because that set you on the path. You were as good as you were when you wrote your first book, just as I'm as good as I am going to get as far as the first book. But each time we take on the task again of, in this case, writing a book, we hope we're going to get better. We're going to learn things that we didn't know before. And by the time we get to, shall we say, the end of the path, as it were, we hope that we've been successful at writing, putting our thoughts down and so forth, and that people will recognize that. Because I know when I look at, even though I'm proud of the book that I put out, there are things that I would change today in that book, but I won't change them. I will take that lesson I learned and I will use it for book 2, whatever that might be.
That's right. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, which was a great book. It's still selling millions of copies, but his later books were actually better. Master Key to Riches was, if you read the two, you can just tell he's a much better writer writing Master Key to Riches than he was when he was writing Think and Grow Rich. But The Master Key to Riches will never sell as many copies. It's the title is the key to that one. That's just perfect title.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, quite honestly, that should be the process. I mean, whether you're an architect or gardener or whatever the case may be, if you're just starting out, it's not going to be so great. And yet, I go back and I listen to some audio that I did back in the early 80s when I first got into this business. And I have to tell you, I'm rather impressed at what I had created back then. Certainly, it is not as good as what I do today, but I certainly chose the right career. So I can feel good about that, and actually listening back to those things humbles me because it's like, wow, you were in your early, I mean, I started at the age of 19, and when I hear some of this stuff, I'm going, hey, you charged ahead regardless of the hurdles that you had to jump over, and here you are today. It's just amazing how far and tell me, before we take our next pause here, talk about that and how important that is in our on our path, if you will, towards our goal, to be grateful for what we knew when we knew it, and then of course how we've added, you know, tools along the way, but not to discount what we did back then, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today if we hadn't done what's back then.
Well, Richard, I think being grateful in any portion of your life is very important, because if you're being grateful, you can't be sad, you can't be complaining, you can't be, putting yourself down. You're uplifting yourself and everyone around you. So being grateful in all aspects of your life is important. And when you're grateful, you're happy. You can't be grateful and be unhappy at the same time.
True.
So you need to practice, or everyone needs to practice. Just think what a wonderful world it would be if everyone that you met was being grateful for what they had. They'd be a lot friendlier, and the world would be a much more pleasant place to live in.
Hmm. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And try to do my best to be grateful every day for. I know a lot of people, they'll put down a list of things. The first thing in the morning, I'm grateful for waking up and being able to get out of bed. That I didn't leave this earth, kind of thing. And
That's
then
true.
things start to build from there. That I'm able to do the things that I do. I'm able to have the animals around, and for them to love me and me to love them, and again, then just that whole grateful attitude is just so important. It does so much for our health, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so I'm grateful for the people that are in my life, yourself included in that have been able to use the platform that we've created here to share where they're coming from and where they're going. That's a big deal, you
Yes,
know.
it is.
It really is. We're going to take another quick pause here to remind you, realimpactbook.com is the website. Please avail yourselves of that website, and avail yourselves of a copy of Real Impact Daily Inspiration, whether it is the Kindle version, the ebook, the free version, which you can get by going to that website, realimpactbook.com, or you want to get yourself a hard copy or a paperback version. We hope you'll do that as we continue here on the Real Impact series here on Tell Me Your Story. Dennis Henson and yours truly, Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D, and we are fast approaching the end of this particular cycle, this particular session, shall we say, in the series called Real Impact here on Tell Me Your Story. Dennis, we had this short little story called Putting on the Ritz about Fred Astaire, and I want to give you last words here. You got a few minutes here to share with us your thoughts on where you're coming from as we close this particular program.
Well, Fred, like everyone else in the book, knew what he wanted. And even though he had a rocky start, he wanted to be a movie star, he wanted to be a dancer, and when he went to his first interview, the producers made fun of him and wrote some comical things about him, but that didn't affect him at all. That just goes to show that it doesn't matter what it is that you want. You're the one that's going to talk yourself into it or out of it. You need to embrace your desires and be willing to go and do whatever it takes to get them, and you'll be able to accomplish amazing things. You'll amaze yourself at what you'll be able to accomplish. And I think if you'll read the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, and see some of the struggles that these famous people had gone through, it'll encourage you to do more yourself.
Also, talk to us about the importance of leaving a review, but also how important those reviews are to the author, yourself or anybody else who's got a book out there online, and because just talk to us about that.
One of the quotes in the book says, if you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. And an easy way to lift up someone else is, if you've read a good book recently, or even not so recently, go to Amazon and find that book, leave it a 5-star review, and write something positive about it so that other readers will know, hey, this is a good book. And you will have made that author's day. Go find Choices and leave Richard a 5-star rating and say, hey, man, this is a great book. Other people should read it. And if you would read some of my books and do the same, I would be uplifted.
Absolutely.
Would appreciate it very much.
Well, it's also nice too, for example, with because Real Impact, the Real Impact series is not autobiographical by any stretch. It's certainly sharing where you are coming from and wanting to inspire people as far as your life in that regard. And we've talked about your life early, 50 years ago, and of course before that in real estate and so forth. And I think about the one review from my mother where she basically said, I learned things about you I always wanted to know. And mine does have a bit of an autobiographical element to it. And that's kind of nice that people wanted to get to know the person who wrote this, And there are times where you'll go to the back of the book about the author. There's a page about the author. And sometimes that can be just that page, maybe 3/4 of a page. Other times it could be 2, 3, 4 pages about the author. But you can still learn something about who wrote the book by reading the book. And in this case, you learn a lot about Dennis by what has inspired him, what has made a difference in his life. And we're very grateful that you have opened yourself up to that, because I know for a lot of folks, that's not easy to do. Not easy to do at all.
Well, thank you, Richard. I hope everyone enjoys the book.
I hope that you folks will get a copy of the book. Once again, it's the realimpactbook.com is the website, which we will be linked to. And we hope you'll pick up a copy as well. And we hope that you will join us again here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., now Wednesday at 8 a.m., it's the Real Impact series. And we hope that you will tune in at those times, streaming live at richarddugan.com at those times. We also have podcasts. They're on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We're on Spreaker, and we certainly hope that you will also go to YouTube and watch these conversations. We hope you'll subscribe as well as click notifications. So as Dennis has given you an opportunity to be notified when his next book is being released, we will notify you automatically through these platforms when the next conversation has been released. So please click notification. A reminder that Choices 5 Steps for Life is available at Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Audible. That's coming soon. Kindle is also available. And we also ask that, if you do get a copy, regardless of the platform, please do leave a review. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you'd like to leave us a tip, hey, we would take the tip. We have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And we have links to both Amazon and to PayPal on the homepage of richarddugan.com. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision to spend some time going within and listening to that still small voice. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to all. Jeanette, I am still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.